It's late, and your body is tired, but your mind just won't stop. You're replaying a conversation from this morning, worrying about tomorrow, imagining everything that could go wrong. One thought leads to another, and another, until you're trapped in a spiral you can't switch off. And the cruelest part is this: the more exhausted you become, the louder those thoughts seem to get, and the further away sleep and peace feel. If this is you, take a breath, because you are not broken and you are not alone. Your brain is simply stuck in a loop, and in this video, I'm going to show you exactly why it happens and the simple ways to finally calm your mind. First, let's understand what overthinking really is. It usually comes in two forms: rumination, where you replay the past over and over, and worry, where you imagine every possible bad future. Both feel like you're doing something useful, but you're not. Here's the key difference. Problem solving leads to a decision and then action. Overthinking just leads to more thinking. It spins in circles and never lands anywhere. It feels productive, but it's really a trap that keeps you stuck. So why does your brain do this? Part of it is something called the default mode network. When you're not focused on a task, this network switches on, and it generates a stream of self-focused thoughts about you, your past, and your future. For some people, it just won't quiet down. On top of that, your brain has a built-in negativity bias. For thousands of years, survival depended on spotting threats and remembering mistakes. The early humans who worried about every danger were the ones who stayed alive. So you inherited a mind that is constantly scanning for problems. It naturally clings to what went wrong and what could go wrong, far more than what went right. In other words, your overthinking brain isn't broken. It's actually doing exactly what it evolved to do. The trouble is, it's running ancient survival software in a modern world that rarely needs it. And every time you overthink, you make it easier to do it again. The thought loop becomes a habit, a worn path in your brain. Overthinking isn't a character flaw. It's a pattern your mind has simply practiced too many times. And modern life pours fuel on the fire. We face more choices, more information, and more comparison than any humans in history. Your phone alone hands you an endless stream of things to analyze, compare, and worry about. Your brain was never designed for this much input, so it does the only thing it knows. It thinks and thinks and thinks some more. But that pattern has a real cost. It drains your energy, it steals your sleep, it feeds anxiety, and it makes even small decisions feel impossible. Think about it. How many nights have you lost, not because anything was actually wrong, but because your mind refused to stop running? How many moments with the people you love have you missed because you were somewhere else entirely, lost inside your own head? The loop keeps you living in your thoughts, instead of out in your actual life. The good news is, this pattern can be unlearned, just like it was learned. So let's break it. Here are the techniques that truly work. The first step is awareness. The next time you catch yourself spiraling, simply name it. Say to yourself, "I'm overthinking right now." That one moment of awareness pulls you out of autopilot, and just labeling it begins to calm your brain down. The second technique is to schedule your worry. Instead of fighting your thoughts all day, give them a slot. Set aside 10 minutes, and during that time, allow yourself to worry freely. When anxious thoughts come up outside that window, gently tell yourself, "Not now. I'll think about this later." It sounds strange, but it works. The third technique is to drop out of your head and into your senses. Try the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. Name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 you can feel, 2 you can smell, and 1 you can taste. This pulls your attention back to the present, where overthinking can't survive. The fourth technique is one simple question. Ask yourself, is this a problem I can actually solve right now? If the answer is yes, take one small action. If the answer is no, then there is nothing to do but let it go. Action is the enemy of overthinking. The fifth technique is to set a deadline for decisions. A lot of overthinking is just the search for a perfect choice that doesn't exist. So give yourself a time limit. For small things, decide in 5 minutes. Remember, a good decision now beats a perfect one that never comes. The sixth technique is to get it out of your head and onto paper. When thoughts are swirling, write them all down. A simple brain dump takes the loop out of your mind, where it feels huge, and puts it on a page, where it suddenly feels smaller and more manageable. The seventh technique is to move your body. Overthinking lives in stillness. Go for a walk, stretch, do anything physical. Motion interrupts the mental loop and shifts your brain out of that spinning state almost instantly. The eighth technique is the 10-10-10 rule. When something feels overwhelming, ask yourself, will this matter in 10 minutes, in 10 months, in 10 years? Most of the things we agonize over shrink to almost nothing when we zoom out and look at the bigger picture. The ninth technique is to question the thought itself. Ask, is this a fact or just a story I'm telling myself? Most of our worries are predictions, not truths. And studies suggest the vast majority of the things we worry about never actually happen. The 10th technique is to use your breath. When you're overthinking, your body is tense and alert. Slow it down. Breathe in for 4, hold for 4, and breathe out for 6. A long, slow exhale tells your nervous system that you are safe, and the mind tends to follow the body. There's another technique that's surprisingly powerful. Talk it out. When a worry is trapped inside your head, it grows and twists into something bigger than it really is. So say it out loud, to a friend you trust, or even just to yourself. The moment you put a fear into actual words, it almost always sounds smaller and far more manageable than it felt in the silence of your mind. And here's one that brings instant relief. Focus only on what you can control. Take whatever is worrying you and split it in two. Ask, what part of this is actually in my hands, and what part is not? Then pour your energy into the part you can influence, and consciously let go of the rest. You were never meant to carry the weight of things you cannot change. It also helps to remember the spotlight effect. We replay our own mistakes endlessly, and imagine everyone around us noticing them too. But the truth is, other people are far too busy worrying about themselves to scrutinize you the way you fear. That awkward thing you said yesterday? Most people forgot it within minutes. You are usually the only one still replaying it, again and again. There are 2 more habits that make a huge difference. Limit what you feed your mind. Endless news and social media give your brain more fuel to spiral with, so take regular breaks from the scroll. And practice self-compassion. Talk to yourself the way you'd talk to a good friend, with kindness, not criticism. You are not your thoughts. And finally, the deepest shift of all. Accept that you cannot control everything. So much overthinking is a desperate attempt to feel certain in a world that never is. Real peace doesn't come from controlling every outcome. It comes from making your best choice and then letting go of the rest. Picture your thoughts like clouds passing across the sky. They drift in, and if you don't grab onto them, they drift right back out. You are not the clouds. You are the sky they move through. The thoughts will always come. You just don't have to follow everyone. One quick warning. Don't try to force yourself to stop thinking. Telling your brain not to think only makes it louder. The goal was never to empty your mind. It's to stop fighting it and gently guide your attention somewhere better. So here is your plan for the next time the spiral starts. Name it. I'm overthinking. Ground yourself with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take one slow breath out. Then ask, can I act on this now, or do I need to let it go? That's it. Small steps, every time. And remember, you will not get this perfect, and that's completely fine. Some days the spiral will still pull you in, and that's okay. The goal isn't to never overthink again. The goal is to catch it a little sooner each time, and to come back to calm a little faster. Every time you do, the loop gets weaker, and your peace gets stronger. You were never broken. Your mind just learned to loop, and with a little practice, it can learn to rest instead. Be patient, be kind to yourself, and let the thoughts pass. Your calm was never gone. It's still in there, waiting quietly underneath all the noise. So take a breath. Let this be the moment you start, and I'll see you in the next one.